Hi, it's so nice to meet you. How are you?
I'm doing great. Nice to meet you as well. Does this
Con-
sound right? Do I have this thing set up right?
yeah, you sound amazing. I can hear everything. I can see you. You're great.
Awesome, cool.
Perfect. Okay, so this movie, your host, I had such a blast with this movie, and it seems like you also had a blast with this movie. Can you tell me a little bit what your reaction was to reading the script for the first time and thinking about approaching this character?
Wow. Yeah, reading the script the first time, it was really scary. Like, the script itself, but I mean scary as an actor looking at this going, wow, there's a lot here.
Yeah.
It's a really different kind of villain. There's weird kind of charismatic side to him, but there's this absolutely unhinged kind of batshit crazy side to this guy. And yeah, it was just part of it too is I was reading it going like, wow, this is for a horror flick. It kind of feels play-like. And so
Yeah.
but I was really happy when I watched the movie because it didn't feel play-like. It
Yeah.
felt like a horror movie. It felt like you're trapped in this makeshift studio with this game show host guy that has these contestants who are chained to the wall in a hell of a predicament. And it just really seemed to move. The pacing moved, the tension just slowly kind of builds and becomes unratcheted and unhinged and unpredictable. But yeah,
Yeah.
the character was super challenging. It was
Oh,
there was
yeah.
it was just and it was challenging. It was a sheer joy to attack this character, but at the same time, it was torture in and of itself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's
Yeah.
so intense, and the guy has been through so much that's kind of created who he's become. And I kind of feel like this character is there's stuff that he's done in the past to himself that's kind of made going back to who he was impossible. And I think he kind
Yeah.
of did that intentionally. And so there's this side of this character whose name is Barry Miller that, was probably a decent guy. And at least, or he thinks he was a decent guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, you never know. But what happened, this traumatic experience that happened to him, you know, um, just twisted him. And he's become
Yeah.
this counter character, this counter guy that's so there's this Barry Miller character and that's I think hidden inside of himself that's still just kind of struggling and is at odds with the maniac your host that he's become. And I
Yeah.
kind of think that's why he wears that mask.
Yeah. Well, and I think what's really interesting about this character too is he is, like you're saying, he's very complex. It's not just he's a crazy guy, period. Like there's a lot going on there, which I feel like as an actor, it must have been still challenging, but interesting and rich to pull from that as in the performance and kind of play that role of not just the bad guy. He is the bad guy, but there's a lot more under the surface. And I like how that's revealed throughout the film with your character.
Yeah, it kind of feels like this slow build.
Yeah.
I love that this guy there's a part of him that's grounded, that knows
Yeah.
knows what he's doing. But what's neat is how that's also just at odds with this guy that's just utterly a lunatic that
Yes.
can shift on a dime, whose thought process that it's weird, man. That's one of the things that just made it so cool to play this guy is that he's committed. There's a mission. There's something happening here that we slowly start to uncover. But his thinking is all over the place.
Yeah.
At times he's a game show host. And then there's times where he's almost childlike,
Yeah.
infantile, and also crazy and vindictive and sadistic. And
Yeah.
there's something he wants. This guy, I think, he clearly fancies himself a game show host.
Oh yeah.
And
Oh
he's
yeah.
built this makeshift studio in a warehouse kind of scenario that is complete with, his own mannequin audience, lighting,
Normal.
soundtracks, normal guy,
Normal
what we
guy.
all do on the weekend. And he's recording this stuff on VHS, so he's putting on this show.
He's putting on a
And
production, not just like it's like he is really producing himself. Like it is wild seeing that side of him too. It's
yeah,
cool.
sometimes it makes me wonder, like he's putting on this thing that is clearly a thing in and of itself, but
Yeah.
I wonder what it looks like in his head.
That is such a good question. Like, exactly. Like, especially when he turns to the audience and he's talking to them. Like, what are you seeing for real, my guy? But it's
Yeah,
so interesting. And I talked to the director, DW, Meet Off yesterday, and
awesome.
he told me that you gave the character like a higher pitched voice and kind of did like a higher pitched voice, I think is what he said, or kind of gave a certain kind of like inflection to your voice. Can you tell me more about those choices that you made for for the host character?
Was he talking about when I laughed or just in general?
I think he talked like the first time you came out and were taught, and like the first time you came out as the character, and like you revealed the voice and the character. And he said that he got really close to the monitor and like put his forehead on the monitor and like smudged it because he was like so engaged with what you did. And you were like, was that too much? And he said, no, it was perfect. That was the story he told me.
Cool. Yeah, I have no idea. You know what I mean?
Yay! Yeah,
It's
it's like it happens, and you're like, yeah, exactly.
yeah, so a lot of stuff was just, I remember first talking to DW as well as Seth and Sarah about the character, because a horror movie you kind of think like, well, you always want this low voice, scary dude that's just, he's just that kind of guy.
Yeah. And
And
you
I'm
played
reading,
that kind of character before too, I feel like with that deep, like kind of a
oh,
deeper inflection. Yeah. And like,
I
yeah.
might have done that once or
Once or
twice,
twice. That was a couple times.
just a couple times. But yeah, like reading this character, a lot of it was jumping off the page. Like this guy he's written, and it's like, I was like, we are playing this guy insane, right? I mean, or at least, kind of.
Yeah.
And like every time I say the word, this guy is insane. He is batshit crazy. He's nuts. But every time I say that, I also know I also have to say, but he's grounded.
Yeah.
He's oddly grounded. He knows what he's doing and doesn't know what he's doing at the same time. And, it's hard to say one of those without the other. But I think we did just kind of like find a lot as we were doing it, as it was coming to
Cool.
life. Obviously I had to prep the crap out of it, but at the same time, there's nothing like getting there on the day and you've got the real guys, and those young actors were phenomenal, really
Yeah.
talented actors out of England. And and yeah, man, it just a lot of it, it wasn't so much like, okay, I'm going to do it just like this. It's almost like I really like to surprise myself when I'm doing stuff and try to attack things hopefully differently. Sometimes you find
Cool.
yourself trying to nail certain things, but it's kind of best when you allow yourself to just totally kind of sink in and just let this character who's grounded and nutty at the same time just let it go and start a scene and then see where it wants to go, just because you allow the thinking to hopefully be different and the takes are different. Hope,
That's
that's
so
the
cool.
that's the ideal thing. Sometimes you're kind
Yeah.
of chasing a specific thing, but in this flick, it was really exciting from the standpoint that we would have these scenes that were almost always at least 5 minutes long. There was one scene
I
where,
didn't even think about that. Oh, wow. That's wild.
yeah, like between action and cut, it was there was one that was 15 minutes. I mean, DW would go action, and of course now we did all these different angles that were 15 minutes, and you cut it together, and I'm sure it became
Yeah, but
shorter
still,
with
it's a
pacing.
long time between, like you
Yeah,
said, like a play. It is more like a play between action and cut having that long. Like, that's crazy.
yeah, it was crazy, but oddly also kind of I don't know, freeing. I just allowed stuff to just really set in, become alive to where you're just, hopefully feeling and being this character. And that was
And putting
that
on the
was that
outfit
was really
too,
cool.
like the full suit and the mask too must have helped like to really get in his because like in prep, I'm assuming you didn't have all of that, but I feel like when you put on that incredible suit and the mask at the same time, I feel like that's got to be helpful too. Like you're putting on a mask, not just a physical mask, but almost like a mental mask too.
Yeah, it was the outfit was incredible. I was like worried it was going to be too hot on that stage,
I
but when we started, it was kind of like warm, and then by the time we finished shooting, the stage was freezing. It's
Oh,
just
really?
the weather shifted on us, and we'd get there in the
Oh.
morning, and it's like, oh God, thank God for this
Thank God for my
shift.
suit. I'm not
Yeah.
one of the people on the ground in like our in socks and a t-shirt. That's
But
amazing. Well,
yeah,
oh, sorry.
it was definitely motivating. You know, you throw on that mask. They made a really cool mask.
Yes.
You know, and then what the mask is kind of hiding, and the suit itself was, yeah. You look in the mirror and it's like, okay,
Well,
it's
and
it's showtime.
it is showtime. When you've played so many incredible characters and you've had such an incredible career, but did this experience with your host, did it feel different or did it feel kind of special or unique within your career as an actor?
You know, it really it did. You know, there was something about this that I've done so much in a super long career, and stuff is like Rorschach, Freddy, Little Children, Bad News Bears, Kelly Leak, and all these. I've
I
just
mean,
played
whatever, just casual.
those are like, those are like the famous ones, but then there's just a whole lot that aren't famous like those guys. But there's something about this character that was just it was different in the sense of everything that we've been talking about. How he's
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
nuts, and he's still like this villain, but there's still this good side in him, and there's this nutty approach. There's I'm kind of oddly you know proud of the part, and the role. It's one of those things where
You should be
it's like
though.
it's kind of like, okay, that worked. I was like, really, I was scared shitless when I got when I received the link. It's like, okay, what happened here? Because you just like, it's kind of like when that first question when you said, dude, what were you doing? It's like, I don't know, man. I wasn't really sure exactly what I did. And so looking at it, no, listen, a lot of this is built with, great editor and DW,
Yeah.
and, putting it all together, but it's just the way it all hangs together. It's, it's a, it's a hell of a character to have, on my list of characters. So I'm real
It
pleased
really
with it.
is though.
And it's
I hope it gets a lot of recognition because I think it does show off like your versatility. I mean, lots of your roles have, but this one really gets to see you be like silly and in a way that I think is unexpected. And I mean that in a positive way. Like there's like a silliness to
cool.
him that I love.
Cool. Yeah, yeah, and again, a lot of that stuff was just coming out. It's like
Yeah.
when I first heard people were kind of saying, "Yeah, it's kind of funny." I'm like, "It is."
It's yeah, it is weird. It's a weird kind of like, oh, yeah, there's a little bit of humor to it, and I like that.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
remember when I watched it, there was definitely two like small places where I kind of gauge humor, like thinking like, okay, when my son sees that, he's gonna laugh at that part and that part. And there was these two little laughs. I knew that he would laugh, and he did when when I showed him the film. And
That's so cool.
but yeah, and horror is just this kind of really cool genre too.
Oh,
It's a genre
yes.
that just kind of keeps giving from the standpoint of October comes around, and horror fans, love this kind of stuff. It's definitely, Saw meets, Hostel meets Would You Rather meets Squid
Yes.
Game meets Wheel of
Yes.
Fortune and Jeopardy with
I
an
know it
emphasis
does.
on Jeopardy.
Yeah.
But it
Yeah.
definitely kind of seems to also deliver in, there's a unique aspect to it, I think, with the game show host, the game show angle, and this character's approach to it. And I think
Yeah.
really the big star of the show for horror fans, I think, is definitely the practical special effects, because horror fans love that stuff when it's not CGI, and
And
they
there's
really
some nasty stuff in this movie. Like we talked about your performance, but there is some nasty stuff in this movie that horror fans are going to love. It's perfect
yeah.
for October. It's
Yeah,
perfect for October.
my wife watched it like this, and and I I remember looking over at some friends who were watching it too, and like everybody's face is always doing something like, you know.
That's how you know it's good.
So
When you get like
yeah,
the physical reactions and people are like, "Oh, I don't want to look, but I'm curious." Like that's how you know it's a good moment.
yeah,
That's so cool.
yeah. So I think the horror peeps are gonna love that,
I think so
love
too.
that stuff.
Yeah.
It's just it's what they dig, man. We got
It's
to
what we
check those
love.
boxes, and
It's
those
true.
and that what a team, man. That team was out of Rome, and they just, I mean, they just nailed some stuff. Even on the set, when you're watching it live and it's not even cut yet, and there's no music and anything, it's like an action. It's a slow process, but when it starts to happen, it's that even watching the monitor, you're like, you know,
It's so cool. Oh
yeah,
God,
it's
I
pretty
love
cool.
making movies is so cool, you know? It's a
It's
cool thing.
it's a great experience. I mean,
Yeah, it really
it's
is.
also really arduous. Like I'll tell you,
Oh
man,
God.
that the young actors, we were all kind of put through the ringer, from the standpoint of, it's a good ringer. If you're making a horror film,
Yeah. But it's like
the
only you guys in a room really for and like go and screaming and like pushing it. Like there's it's physical and you're yelling in their faces. Like it's a lot to probably go through all of you.
it is, and especially for the young actors, because if you think about it, they're chained to the wall. We're in there for a month. So every day between action and cut, these guys, I mean, they're really good actors. So it's not, just like, okay, I'm just going to act scared here and I'm going to scream here.
Yeah.
I mean, they're like trying to sink into it, which means they're just kind of petrified. They have to keep going to this place. Joelle Ray, like she didn't even want to talk to me during when we weren't shooting. I didn't really get to know her until after she was wrapped. And she said, "Sorry, you seem like this really nice guy, and I wanted to make sure I was just always petrified of you." And everybody, everybody's always got these different approaches to doing
Yeah.
things. And but I know Ella Ray and everybody, she was definitely like everybody was sinking into it.
Yeah,
But
you could tell.
and it's that kind of thing where it's just, you kind of at a certain point, you get a couple weeks into this and you can start to see that even when they're not working, there's this underlying traumatic sort of experience that's just kind of building and building. It's like they probably
Yeah.
all had to go to a spa or something afterwards and just,
Couple
go,
weeks decompression after
yeah,
that one.
yeah, get in a decompression chamber. But yeah, it was really intense.
Yeah. Well, I have to wrap, but this was such a pleasure to get to chat with you about this movie. I'm so excited for more people to get to see your performance. It's really cool to get to see you play like this in this film.
Awesome, awesome. Well, thank you so
Thank you.
much. It's really,
Yeah.
really nice meeting you.